Hello, this is the Warp Forge with another Arkham Files for you all. So, what have we got here? Well, we've got the most crudest, most stereotypical Aussie in the DC universe. It is Captain Boomerang, also known as George Digger Harkness. So, without further ado, Harkness is a great tool for mob-heavy lists. And I'm going to tell you why once we go through the card. So we'll go through his stat line. Willpower 6, so average for a free agent. His strength is 4+. Again, average. It's for a free agent. Movement 3, so above average. Attack 3, 50-50. Defense 4, which is very good. Endurance 6, so average for a free agent. And special 3. So basically, special 3 is basically standard throughout the whole game. If there's anything that has smaller, more or less, then that's obviously intended for something else. So, his name, George Digger Harkness, alias Captain Boomerang, his rank is free agent, and he is affiliate unknown. So basically he's a free agent for basically any gang apart from, well, hates Batman, Law, Forces, and Green Arrow. So he hates the good guys because he's a bad guy, and he likes being a bad guy. And sorry. There we go. I just found a post box, so there's a post box for you all. So, we have that. So his personal traits, well, his personal traits are dodge, so he gets to make agility rolls against ranged attacks, see if he can successfully, miss them. He has Follow Me, which is, I'll have to get back to you. Follow Me is basically for one special counter, all henchmen of your own team, if I remember correctly, yeah. All friendly henchmen within 10 centimeters of Captain Boomerang, but not Captain Boomerang himself, gain one movement counter that can exceed the maximum movement allowance on the stat card for your henchmen, which is huge. Already starting to get into why it benefits mob-heavy lists now. So, Follow Me is a huge bonus for him. He hates Batman, Law, and Green Arrow because he's a villain and he goddamn loves his job. Excuse the blasphemy. We have Master Marksman, which basically give him twin linked for 40k players. Basically, he gets to reroll hits when making shooting attacks. And he has Shooter, so if he's making target, for example, if there was somebody in the way of the telephone box, as you see, well, if the telephone box was in the way, then he could ignore that telephone box for the purposes of giving cover saves to the target he's shooting at. So that's already major. And he has tracking for 2 special counters. So in the final phase of the turn, for 2 special counters, you can spend them, roll 2 dice, add the results together, and that's how many centimeters he gets to move in that phase, which might not sound like a lot, considering that he can move in the main part of the turn, but it can really catch people by the eye. Tactically speaking, you can make, if you know Boomerang isn't in a safe place and you want extra movement to get out of there, you might have to just support Harkness here and pull him back or pull him to a different position after you've seen all the positioning of your enemy's gang. So tactically speaking, once you get into the game and playing the game is a massive difference. He has one special trait, which is Ricochet. So for one special counter, after this character successfully hits with a ranged attack, select an enemy model within 5 centimeters and line of sight of the target. Immediately make a free strike against the second target with the same weapon, ignoring line of sight and range. The Ricochet trait may only be used once per round. So basically, when he fires, and it doesn't say that he can't use Ricochet more than once in a round, so if you've got 3 special, you could, effectively speaking, throw the boomerang, hit a target, spend 3 ricochet for 3 different targets around that guy. So that really hurts. With the same boomerang, that can do miles worth of damage. It's scary. I know it doesn't sound like much, 5 centimeters, but as I've learned in tournaments and stuff, 5 centimeters is a very, very wide distance when the game's based around centimeters, and you've got a board which is 3x3 more than the traditional 4x4 or 6x4. So it's a massive. It is actually quite far, 5 centimeters. So never underestimate that. His reputation is 82 and his funding's 350. So he's costly. But he definitely benefits a lot. So what does he do? What does he complement? He complements mob heavy lists like hell. He loves being around people, much like his personality, where he likes to flaunt everything about his boomerangs. So, what I mean by following his mob heavy lists, well, he has Follow Me that can make people support Boomerang a lot easier because they have the movement usually the same, maybe even more than Boomerang here. So they can easily catch up with him and support Boomerang at the same time he's chucking all these boomerangs. So we'll go into his weapons because you need to know the tools to know the trade. So this is where it gets to more about why he supports mob heavy lists. He has one melee weapon. His melee boomerang. Yes, that's a thing. Rules is written. It's called a melee boomerang. 1 blood, which is actually quite good, and it's sharp. So you get a reroll on a strength of 4+ with 1 blood damage. And I know people might say it's not the best, and I agree, it isn't the best weapon, but then again, Harkness isn't Deathstroke. He's not Zaz, he's not Bane. So it's for himself, it's quite good. It's like Joker or Scarecrow's Fear Gauntlet or Fear Claw Spray, whatever. So his first ranged weapon on the list is Gravity Boomerang. It is 1 blood damage, rate of fire 2, ammo 1, and throwing, so he doesn't lose his rate of fire. Short range 20 centimeters and push. So short range is 20 centimeters. Push basically means that if you successfully damage, so again you're doing this on a strength of 4+, but if you successfully damage, the collateral damage dice will then be, well, is usually rolled at the same time, and whatever the result is on the collateral damage dice is the amount of centimeters you can directly push an enemy model away. Now combine this with ricochet. If somebody's holding over an objective or holding over a big guy like say Killer Croc, and you want people to be away from Croc because you find it's too close for comfort, you could throw that boomerang, ricochet once, twice, or maybe even 3 times to 3 different targets, and push them all away from an objective or maybe off a big guy to give them some breathing space. That is huge. Absolutely huge. Especially if you're on a mob list. You could push enemy models closer towards your own guys, so then you could just go in and hack in with melee weapons. That's massive. That's absolutely big as anything. So, Blade Boomerang. This isn't a melee weapon, believe it or not. He only has his melee boomerang. So, his melee boomerang. His blade boomerang is a blood and stun damage. It's rate fire 2, ammo 2. So you get fire this twice. And it is throwing, short range, accurate, sharp. So accurate. Accurate allows a -1 to dodge against his target or any defensive maneuvers against it. So stuff like dodge, for example. Your agility would, if your movement was 4, it would go down to 3, so you need 3 or less, and so on and so forth. If you had movement 3, it goes down to 2, etc., etc. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. The amount of times I've always been hesitant to fire a ranged weapon because my opponent will just, do a backflip. Quite literally, his model would just do a backflip on the board and just go, yeah, I dodged this. So that is huge. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but in Batman you don't tend to use a lot of dice, so every little difference helps. This is a huge difference. And sharp, so he gets to reroll damage if failed damage rolls. So -1 to dodge, rerolls to damage, blood and stun damage that has rate of fire 2 that you can ricochet off to different targets as well. Massive. Absolutely massive. Electric Boomerang, 2 stun. Now this is where Riddler has to watch out. Riddler. So he has rate of fire 2, ammo 1, throwing, short range, electric. And electric is crit stunned. So this weapon has crit stunned and can reroll damage against bots, robots, or cybernetics. So anything that looks sort of remotely robotic or has anything remotely animatronic, he basically gets sharp against them with crit stunned. So on a roll of a 6, your opponent can't use any counters whatsoever. They can still move, but no counters can be used. So that, again, huge. Riddler has to really make sure he doesn't get in the way of Boomerang, because that is massive. And then he has his Acid Boomerang. 2 blood, rate of fire 1, ammo 1, throwing, short range, acid. And acid, well, acid does, once it successfully damaged a target, does -1 attack and defense to that target, so they become weaker in attack and defense statistics for that round. And it also ignores the light armor trait, because, it's acid, it burns. So remember, you can ricochet that potentially up to 3 times. So that's 2 blood to everything within 5 centimeters of the target you're in question, up to 3 potential targets. About me. So that is absolute, ooh. So why does he benefit mob gangs? The amount of the variety, about 2, 4, 5 potential flavors of Boomerang that you can ricochet off everywhere. Like I say, Gravity Boomerang, you can push them towards your own guys for melee attacks, or you can push them off objectives. You can damage and pepper, and this is the big thing here. You can pepper damage everywhere. Boomerang screams out split fire, which you can do in Batman. You can just throw around all your boomerangs and just spend ricochet points. Remember, you can go to 2 different targets to even extend your ricochet, and the ricochet allows you to do the same amount of damage that you've done to your initial target with that boomerang. So you're peppering around. Most of these ranged weapons do at least 2 damage, so you're already taking off a point of willpower from a majority of things, unless they're desensitized or sturdy. So you're going to be peppering around, weakening willpower, which makes it even easier for your mob troops, or your mob troops, your rest of your gang, your combat members of your gang, to fly up and start hitting things with an axe or a bat or whatever, knock them out. Digger can then either get an objective or just waltz up to a knocked out guy that you've knocked out with your henchman, and just go melee boomerang in the neck, melee boomerang in the neck, and you're going off the building, and melee boomerang in the neck. So yeah, it really benefits mob-heavy lists, because you just fly them up, ricochet everywhere, and go in. If you want to do even more crippling things, I've already sort of worked out an idea between this guy and Firefly. Now, if you've seen my other Arkham File about Garfield Lynn's the Firefly, then you'll know about his fire effect. Now imagine you're peppering shots off, weakening willpower, then you set off the flamethrower to do the flame damage, which either your opponent's forced to take off the counter for another one of his counters to get rid of the fire, or he takes more damage, which in turn further weakens his willpower for those henchmen foil the enemy model, sorry, in those in the long game. So that is it is massive. Now, what is the downsides of Harkness? He has a good defense. Defense 4 is good. It's usually leader state. The average leader is defense 4, but his endurance is 6. And he's not desensitized, he's not sturdy, he's not a psycho. Harkness will swear when he takes damage. And if you've got an Aussie accent, then I would encourage you to swear every time Harkness takes damage, because it's so in character. It really is. It's just, once he takes damage and he starts lessening up his willpower, it means he can't do much. Willpower 6 is usually average for a free agent as well. So having all that really, really hurts. He doesn't like damage. You throw a gun up into his face, he's not going to like it. He has defensive measures against ranged weapons, like dodge and stuff. With movement 3 is quite good. When every dice makes a difference, it is quite good to have dodge. But once he starts taking damage, or if he gets focused on, like any other free agent, he starts swearing and then dying. So that's his weakness. You focus on him and he flops over like any other special character. So you've got to make sure, as Harkness moves around the board, he literally moves, throws his boomerangs, then other henchmen come up, which you can do with Follow Me. Just give everyone an extra movement counter, fly them up. Sprint, 2d6 extra movement, if they're usually movement 2 or 3. He complements henchman heavy lists, and he likes to target enemy henchmen, because enemy henchmen are easier to use as an effect. Well, easier to use as effects against than the other free agents out there. He's not a character who would go up to another character and just go, right, solo. He's not Deathstroke. He likes to attack henchmen. He could potentially attack big things like Croc and Titan Bane and Titan Joker, etc., etc. And I say that because the extra size of the base, because they're usually on 40mm bases, means more area to cover with his ricochet. So you can technically use your enemy's large models as, as beacons to just attack other enemy henchmen models. So you would use your Blade Boomerang on Killer Croc. Throw them, successfully damage. It's harder than it sounds, but you can successfully hit Croc on defensive 3, then just spend your ricochet, and don't be bothered about damaging Croc, because Croc takes up dozens and tons amounts of damage. But you can use Croc to get other henchmen as well. So remember, large characters, good as beacons. If you manage to damage large characters, more power to you. You'll probably enjoy that a lot. So that was Captain Boomerang, George Digger Harkness himself. I hope you enjoyed this Arkham file. If you like what you see and you want to see more, then please give the channel a subscribe and make sure you stay in tune for the next Arkham Files. If you liked what I said, or you want to talk about anything what I've said, give it a like, comment below, you know the drill. If you've got a friend with Captain Boomerang and you want to give him a few bits of advice, please share the video out. The more word gets out there, the better. Thank you for watching. This is the Warp Forge, signing out, and remember, keep on forging.